You are watching the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast. The boys are back. We're going to talk prospects. We got Rocco's Riser on deck. We got our prospect of the week. And of course, we're going to talk about our Habs prospect of the week. So let's get to it.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to the Sick Podcast. Recruits Draftcast.
And with the first overall selection in the 2023 NHL Draft, the Chicago Blackhawks are very proud to select from the Regina Pats, the Western Hockey League, Connor Bedard.
The sickest NHL draft and scouting podcast. It's gonna be sick.
As always, I am your host, producer Shayne. We got Grant, we got Rocco. The boys are back. Guys, it's been a calmer week, right? No crazy trades this week, but how we doing nonetheless?
Not amazing. I'm not amazing this week, or what?
I ran out of adjectives, Grant. I'm sorry. I used the book.
Okay. I shouldn't have given you that dig just before we came on air. Yeah, okay. I'll remember that next time. Now, you can tell that it wasn't me that came up with the intro to that, eh? Like,
what's that?
We got so many Habs followers here, and you'd think that they'd say, with the first selection, the Canadians are proud to select Yuri Slafkovsky, but it's friggin' Connor Bedard. And then also, I mean, the header that's on the homepage of the YouTube, at first it had Austin Matthews on there instead of Slafkovsky. And I mean, I got them to change that. So hopefully, I mean, what Habs fan wants to see? There's Austin Matthews.
Hey, this is the draft cast. We're gonna have to bring out the Festivus poll for the airing of the grievances, I think.
Yes. Well, I'm just putting a bug in their ear. I know they're the producers today, and hopefully they took note of that. That intro should be Slafkovsky. First pick, Canadians take.
But you want a guy that hit, right?
What's that?
I'm just messing with you.
Bedard doesn't hit. Bedard doesn't hit. What are you talking about? He gets hit, and he gets his jaw broke. Oh, you said hit. Okay, now I get it. Okay, yeah.
So Grant's not doing too hot. Rocco, how you doing?
Just another day in paradise here.
Love it. Well, hey, you know what? We're going to kick off with your segment. Cue the music. It's Rocco's Riser of the Week. This week belongs to Marek. Oh, him.
Yeah,
I didn't even dance this time. Go ahead.
Marek Vanacker, left winger for the Brantford Bulldogs. Checks in at 6'1", $170. He's got 41 points, 19 goals in 39 games for the season. But in his last 10, he's been particularly hot. He's got 17 points in his last 10 games. For me, this guy is a very true two-way, very versatile winger. He plays with a lot of pace, which you like. He's constantly on the puck, chasing guys down, chasing loose pucks, and he gives it at both ends too. It's not just on the forecheck, and you'll see it a ton in these clips where he forces a ton of turnovers on the defensive side of the puck. So he really is a two-way winger, and he is putting up over a point a game. So you like that he can do it at both ends. Ton of effort in his game. He very rarely you see him take a shift off. He seems to be really always on and always hounding around the puck. And if it's not on his side, if he's a weak side winger, he's very strong in his support game of the puck. So he understands that you're not, you can be on it, but not all the time. And sometimes you need to be in that support role. And he does a really good job of when to jump on loose plays and go hard at guys, and when to take a step back and play a support role and be ready for a potential loose puck to pop out, force a turnover. Speed and quickness. Now, this is a thing. Now, this guy is actually a true riser for me. I've watched him a bunch of times, and the first game that I saw him, I didn't actually particularly love him. And the more I watched him, the more that he's grown on me. He skates really well when he's up at top speed, and when he's energized, he brings a lot of quickness to his game as well. But that is one thing, and that was one reason the first game I watched him, I wasn't initially crazy about him, because he didn't have that jump and that pace, and he looked tired and slow. And I think maybe I just caught him on, you're not going to be 100% every game. And then I see him other games and he's all over guys. He's all over the puck. So at first I thought he might have had his skating thing. I don't think there's any issue there now, but I do think he maybe needs to just strengthen up a little bit, which is not uncommon for a kid that age, 17 years old. So I was happy with that after seeing it. And that kind of was one thing that grew on me over time. He has very good instincts around the ice, very good hockey IQ. He reads the game very well and he anticipates the game very, very well. He seems to be one of those guys that he's not really caught out of position. I don't watch a game and see him losing track of his man. I don't see him like lost out there or puck watching or trying to figure out who to cover. He knows his role. He knows his positioning. And he forced probably 5 or 6 turnovers in this one video alone on the defensive side of the puck. So you're not doing that unless you know how to read a play, because you need to be able to anticipate the play in order to do that. He can both finish. You see his goal there. Good job getting to the front of the net, works hard in front, battles hard, picks up that loose puck. So he can finish, but he's also a good playmaker as well. And he's not fancy in the way that he makes plays, but he is skilled. And what I mean by that is you don't see him make one too many moves, but he does a very good job of making one move and making a decision, which is what you're going to need to do at the pro level, because guys in the OHL, you can make 4 or 5 moves on guys, and that's fine. But in the NHL, if you're lucky, if you beat your first man before the second man's not on you right away. So it's make one move and dish, and he does a really nice job of that. So, and those are kind of little things that, again, like I said, he's grown on me over time, because he does, I find, make a lot of smarter plays that maybe you kind of really got to pay attention to notice. It's little smaller detailed things, but the more you watch, he does these things on a continual basis and very, very consistently. It's always like, oh geez, okay, that was smart. Okay, that was smart. He's in the right spot there. So you like a guy with good hockey IQ, and from a skill perspective, again, aside from maybe strengthening up, adding a little bit of weight, and I can nitpick his first step or two a bit, but that's what it would be. It'd be nitpicking a little bit. So he doesn't really have any sort of fatal flaw to me as a player. There's not one thing that I look at and say, okay, this is one thing that's going to keep him from advancing or progressing to the next level or maybe reaching his potential. So I don't see a major red flag in his game, which you have to like, because it does bring a sense of safety and security. And for me, this isn't a guy who's in the first round right yet, although there's a lot of season left. But for me, he's not there. I like him as a second rounder right now, somewhere in that mix. But there is some safety and a really good floor there. And he plays like I said, he's very versatile, and he can do it at both ends. So I do see him being able to be a player to adapt his game to whatever role a team needs him to do, and be happy doing that and be happy contributing. And for me, that's a very, very good thing in a player. You see a lot of guys outside the first round, they may have one fatal flaw that may keep them out of the league entirely. And for him, I don't see that. And the way that his game just seems to be getting better and better and better as the season goes on. You talk about red flags, that's a big green flag for me. He's consistently improving, and he looks better each time I watch him, which is what you want to see. You want to see progression throughout the year. And for that reason, he's my riser of the week.
Fair enough.
Great one.
Yeah.
I have to agree with you on that. I don't see an issue with his skating. I think his skating's decent, actually.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a small kid either, right? So you have to take into account that he's probably done some growing in the last year or two, and that with a bit more strength, seeing that he's 17 years old, that I think his skating is going to be fine.
Yep, no, and I agree with that completely. And that's why I think, and we talked after that first game, I watched him, and that was my thing. But the more that I watch him, the more I think, you're not going to have your best game all the time. And I think that's more of a case of what it was. But that's why you got to watch a guy a pile of times throughout the year.
Right. That's right. No, you can't base it on one viewing, I find, with any prospect. That's for sure.
No.
And he actually, my prospect of the week has some similarities there. So You want me to cue it up?
Let's
Run
get
with
to
it,
it.
or
Yeah. Prospect of the week this week is Sam O'Reilly. Let's talk about him.
okay, yeah. Well, he's London's done it again, right? The prospect factory's churning out another forward. Seems like every year they got a forward that comes on as the year goes along. Evangelista before. You can name, like, you could go down the list there. There's always seems to be a kid. Formenton, Horvat. They all rose as the year went on, and I think that's the same case with O'Reilly. His skating, maybe his stride's a little weak at this point, but the mechanics don't appear to be an issue, and it's likely just like Vanacker, he just needs to get stronger. Scouts aren't going to penalize him for that, but he's shown improvement in the skating since the start of the year, and that's always a positive sign. So he's solid defensively. That's the first thing that stands out for me. He's a key penalty killer for the Knights as a 17-year-old. And typically that's not, Dale Hunter doesn't afford such a role to a draft eligible unless it's he really likes him. So he's versatile in that he can play either the wing or center, but he's, he mostly plays at center. He's going to need to keep working on his face-offs. He's about 50% this year, which is by no means terrible, but he'll need to improve that over the next 2 years if he hopes to win, half his draws in the NHL someday. Decent skill level. What's most attractive, I find, is that he looks like he's a safe bet to play. So he's got much like Vanacker, he's got a good floor. Smart, responsible defensively, good compete level. Prototypical size at 6'1" for a winger, forward, center. We'll need to add some muscle, and hopefully that will make his stride stronger. With Haltman and Cowan away at the World Juniors, he got more of an offensive opportunity. And as a result, he has 22 points in his last 14 games after fetching 18 in his first 27. So you always like to see a points progression as the year's gone on, and that's certainly the case with him. He's averaging better than 18 minutes a game and 2.8 goals against per 60 minutes, which is actually pretty good. In his past 10 games, at 19 minutes a game and 334 a night, he's averaging shorthanded. He's been on the ice for only 4 goals against, while chipping in 6 goals and 15 points. So those are outstanding numbers that reflect his all-around effectiveness. London's a great team that's won 12 straight while outscoring its opponents 75-22, but he's been a big part of that. He looks to have the anticipatory skills, awareness, and work ethic to become an effective two-way NHL player. London prospects typically get selected higher than the general public expects, and with good reason. Scouts know they'll be getting first-rate coaching. They'll likely play important playoff games, as London is rarely not a contender, and they look like they're going at least 2 rounds this year again. And fans, scouts will be there to see Dickinson anyway, so he'll get a lot of views. And I think he just likely keeps on rising as the draft year goes along. I think he's an honest, versatile player. He's got a high floor, medium ceiling. He looks to have third line upside, but a decent bet to carve out a steady role in a team's bottom 6. He may be a guy who can play up and down your lineup due to his versatility and sound defensive game too. So, like, if you had to plug him into the second line due to injuries, like an Artie Lehkonen type player, I think he's got the capability to do that. Now, I think look at him to be a candidate to be selected somewhere in the 40 to 60 range. Again, mind you, there's always a London forward that seems to rise at the end of the year, and it wouldn't shock me if he just keeps climbing. And, if he produces in the playoffs like he has in the past month, wouldn't be surprised if he ends up being top 40. So just yet another London forward that has grown on scouting, the scouting community as years gone on. And he's a solid prospect to keep an eye on the rest of the year.
You mentioned one thing that you mentioned. It's scouts, guys from London will often get drafted higher than the public might expect because they're from London. But that's a key point to make, because it's not just drafting; it's drafting and development. And
Exactly.
the development part of it is every bit of as important, because you could draft the most skilled players in the whole wide world, but if they're not developed properly, it doesn't mean squat, right? So scouts and teams do have that confidence in that London program, because they do it consistently. They produce regular NHL players, and there's massive value to that, to especially in the second round, to getting a full-time player there. And you say you wouldn't be surprised if he keeps rising, and me neither. You see it all the time in like the really good teams at the end of the first round, pick 25 onward sort of thing. Oftentimes they will knowingly pass up someone with a higher ceiling or skill level for a guy that they know is going to play.
Well, Easton Cowan last year, how many people expected him to go where he went? I mean, I had him in the first round, but most independent lists, public lists had him, 40 on? But he's getting developed right the next 2 years, and look at the jump he made. He made the World Juniors as an 18-year-old. So, yeah, go ahead, Rocco.
Yeah. So no, that was basically my point. But I like this player a lot as well. And you compare, if we were to compare his scouting report to Vanacker's scouting report, there's a lot of crossover there. And I feel actually these two are nice guys to bring up on the same week, because they're two guys who made jockey for draft position a little bit for the second half of the year. I think Vanacker maybe a little bit. You might put him second right now, but I do think they're right there, and they're worth debating in that sense. And they bring a lot of the same tools and a lot of the same traits that teams are going to really, really like to the table.
Yeah. Well, I mean, the point totals of both of them, they've stepped up over a point a game in the last month. So that's always
and that's what you're looking for, that progression. You have the early parts of the season, you're looking for that progression to, leading into the Christmas break, the New Year's break, right after, kick off the second half, and then roll that momentum into the playoffs. And then these are the kind of guys too that can often, we'll see how they play, but they can often raise their stock in the playoffs because their style of play translates so well to a playoff type of game. They can handle it. They thrive in that physical, that aggressive, that tighter checking, and that's why maybe guys like this come out of nowhere, seemingly sometimes towards the end of the draft cycle, and then all of a sudden draft day they're picked 15 spots ahead of where most people have them. It's because, well, you know what, you watch them get better all season long, and then they stepped up again in the playoffs, and they played hard-nosed hockey, which is what wins year in, year out, and teams like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I was looking at the stats on O'Reilly, and I mean, playing .334 shorthanded in his draft year for London, is just a testament to just how much trust Dale Hunter has in him already. So, I mean, I think he's going to be one of the top defensive forwards in the OHL over the next 2 years, because that'll just grow. Typically they don't give draft eligible guys that much responsibility, especially defensively. So next year, they got Julian, Gazazov, McHugh graduate. I mean, maybe one or two comes back as an overager, but they'll be top 9 spots that open up, top 6 spots, and he'll typical London forward. He'll end up putting up great points probably next year, and he'll look like a solid pick, just like Cowan does this year, and Barkey even. Barkey's Barkey's top 5 in league scoring. So
they do it right, because when guys are ready, and they're more conservative, I find, with their prospects, like you mentioned, they're not typically giving these responsibilities to the draft eligible players sort of thing, but equally, when the players are ready for that responsibility, they give them the opportunity. And this guy's a perfect example of it, and he's taken that opportunity and absolutely run with it. And now he's sitting there 3.5 minutes shorthanded, and he's still over a point a game, and And again, he's a positive player in all three zones.
Yeah, for sure. What do you think there, Shayne?
I don't know, missed a bit there, but the point that you guys are making about the London prospects is so valid, because you can go back to years and years. It's been such a consistent factor that they are a machine at producing high level prospects that do succeed in the NHL. It's like, it's a safe bet at this point. Oh, I'm picking a guy from London. Yeah, he's probably going to pan out, right? It's ridiculous what they've been able to do there, and they're going to keep doing it, and it's going to be the same year, it's same thing every year. So whenever we talk about a London prospect, we're going to talk about many. That's that's going to be a fact. And I mean, we didn't even mention Oliver Bonk is playing out of his mind right now, so that's helping everybody else as well. Everything about what the Knights are doing is just fantastic. The OHL playoffs are going to be a lot of fun. Let me tell you. Yeah. You got the Knights, you got the Rangers, you got Saginaw. I mean, we could keep listing them. It's going to be a lot of fun.
The West alone is going to be crazy.
Yeah. Nuts.
We'll have to get out. We'll have to get out to it. We'll maybe have to take a roadie there in the playoffs there.
You know what? I got one in the works, and I'm going to give a little shout out to Big Darn in London. I'm going to go over there and stay there for the weekend, catch a few games with him, and actually he's been pushing this for me to watch this guy quite a bit. O'Reilly. So little hot tip there for you, Big Darn.
Yeah. Well, I know you first mentioned it a few weeks ago, and then the World Juniors got in the way, and I mean, I knew we'd eventually get to looking closely at this kid, and we both had a look at him in the past week, and I said, okay, this is going to be my riser of the week. I'm gonna upstage Rocco on this one and take the.
You know what? There was enough risers to go around this week. We could have done them either way. There's two really good two-way wingers here, and O'Reilly may end up being a centerman.
And what we're going to start doing here is we're going to post the Rocco's riser on the website as well. He's got an extended video, I think 6+ minutes.
Yeah, half minutes.
And along with his notes, and I've done the same thing here. I've written up a spiel on O'Reilly, and I'll put up his video as well. And we'll do it with the Habs prospect too. So each week now, each of these is going to be posted, and along with the notes on each on the website too, for our subscribers. So
that's right, our subscribers, and you can follow us. I'm on Twitter at Scout Rocco. Tell me why I'm wrong. Tell me why I'm right. Happy to chat with anyone who wants to about the prospects, and hopefully you can subscribe to recruits.ca as well.
His single post a week is usually riveting, so make sure you follow him.
Hey, as soon as someone wants to have a conversation, I'll be all over it.
Okay.
There we go. Well, quality over quantity. Love it.
Maybe I'll reply to one of your. Then we'll have a conversation on Twitter.
Sounds good to me.
Okay.
Awesome. Well, Rocco, we thank you as always for your insight. Great riser as always, and we'll see you next week. Take care.
Thanks, guys.
All right, Rocco Zappia as always. Fantastic stuff. And that was Sam O'Reilly, our prospect of the week. Now, if you haven't checked it out already, we highly encourage you to do so after you finish this video. But we interviewed Owen Beck earlier this week, and it was a fantastic interview. Really great stuff. And sure enough, keeping on with the tradition, right? He was going to be the Habs prospect of the week, regardless if we were interviewing him or not. But it seems only fitting that, he is this week. Last week, right? Our Habs prospect of the week was Lane Hudson, and we had him on the show. So, if you're a hockey player watching and you want to have a good week, I think the thing to do is just to come on with us and chat a bit. I guess we have good luck. So, Owen Beck is our Habs prospect of the week, putting up 9 points in 3 games with Saginaw. Pretty ridiculous stuff.
Yeah, it's very encouraging to see that, and it's just, it just goes to show that. I mean, Peterborough, he was about a point per game, and now it was all about system and teammates to a certain extent. We're getting to see what he can do with really high end skilled guys in the OHL, and I think it's some people might have to change their thought. They're like, look at that pass. It's just beautiful. Led the guy perfectly underneath the defenseman's stick. But I think some Habs fans are going to have to maybe readjust their thinking on just how much upside Beck has. Because I mean, he's got such a well-rounded game that you're going to be able to plug him anywhere in the middle six lineup. I really think that, like, he's not going to hurt you as a second line center. Especially, I mean, you look at the Habs, some of the guys that they've had playing like they've had Jake Evans playing a second line center role this year at times. So if Jake Evans can play a second line center role, Beck's got a way more upside than Jake Evans. He's better skater, better shooter, better on faceoffs, just stronger, just an all-round better prospect. Oh, we snuck in a Reinbacher.
Might as well. Right?
Yeah, we'll throw in a Reinbacher at the end.
There you go. That was a nice pass.
It was. Yeah. But that's funny. But I mean, as you see by these, he's going to pile up points. Saginaw. There he is with Parek's got the puck, and you just see the, like he wasn't getting too many of those points in Peterborough this year. So you're going to see. I wouldn't be surprised if he averages 2 points a game the rest of the year with Saginaw and ends up being, top 20 scorer by year's end, and then has just a terrific playoff. Because look at this. This was fantastic.
Hello.
Play in his own end, and then stole the puck at center, came in and just slid it in between. Like, see you later. Grabs it, and then 5-hole. Looks like
love the Sully too. That's awesome.
He likes Saginaw already. This was so good we had to put it in 3 times. But he's I think maybe his offensive upside has been a little bit curtailed both in Mississauga and Peterborough to a certain extent. As you're seeing in these highlights, he can dish the puck, he can shoot it. His skating's great. We know how versatile he is and how good he is defensively, but there is second line upside there if everything gets put together. I mean, we mentioned in that interview with him that, perhaps someday he's on a line with Doc and Meshar, their second unit. And I can really realistically see that. I think, he might take a lot of draws and maybe moves to the wing to a certain degree, and Doc's in the middle because he's just that size down low in the defensive end. But like he mentioned, even in that, it's so interchangeable, the positions. You play by instinct, and I mean, Marty St. Louis even said this before, right? You follow your instincts and go where the puck is. You don't have to, I have to be in the center of the ice because I'm a center, or I have to be on the right wing because I'm a right wing. That's not the system that Marty plays or most teams play. So you have to be adaptable, and Beck is. And I think for sure he's got middle line upside at the NHL level all day, meaning second or third line. And, he might start out fourth line center and work his way up. That's often the case for a young player, but I don't know that there's going to be any AHL time for him. He's just so ready, I think, at this time. He almost made the Canadians twice out of training camp already.
That's it.
And he's strong enough. He's fast enough. He's smart enough. He's definitely good enough on faceoffs. Marty, that Marty loves him already. So I'd almost put it as it would be a surprise if he doesn't make the Canadians a lineup out of training camp next year. I think he's one prospect that isn't going to need AHL seasoning. Just because he's just already so pro ready, I think. And the experience of having 2 World Juniors, 2 Memorial Cups, at least one long OHL playoff last year where they won the championship. All is part of the, another reason why he's going to be ready, I believe, to play at the NHL level starting next year.
That's it. No, I think I see him sort of as a Jaden Struble in a sense where his style of game, I know for a fact, is going to translate so well to the NHL. He is built for the NHL, right? He's going to be a coach's dream because you can put him in just about any situation. He's very fluid, right? He can play center, can play the wing. You just slot him in wherever, and you know what you're going to get out of him too. He's so reliable, and he's putting up absurd amount of points right now. I get that it's a 3-game sample, but a three point per game is pretty insane. So, I think Habs fans should really, really be more excited than they are right now about Owen Beck. He's going to be, for me, he's a lock next year to make the team. I honestly thought he could have made it this year, but it was the right move to send him back to the OHL because he's getting phenomenal development there and going to the Mem Cup. But nonetheless, I think he's going to be in the NHL for a long time, hopefully with the Habs. Owen Beck, well deserving of Habs prospect of the week here.
If Doc had suffered that injury in training camp, you may have seen him.
Yeah,
you may have seen him with the club all year. But I think it was the best thing to send him back. He didn't produce at a sensational level last year, and I think the Habs were hoping. You want to see a guy excel points-wise offensively at the junior level because I think they see him as a second, third line guy. So you want to see the offense at that level before you, bring him in, and maybe because he might even play a third top 9 role next year right off the bat. So that was probably not going to be the case this year, and I think it just bodes well for the future for him. And you notice how thick his neck when we were interviewing him there.
He's like, a strong guy. Yeah.
Oh,
he plays a very physical style of game that exactly like I was saying, right? A style that will translate really well to the NHL because a lot of kids making the jump from junior to the NHL aren't quite ready for that next physical step. Like you're getting rocked every night, and he'll be doing the rocking. You know what I mean? So he's already prepared for that physically too. Like you mentioned, he's a thick guy.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, folks, that'll about do it. Shorter show today, but not much in the news to talk about. So we still a good show, I think. Lots of good stuff about our prospects of the week, and I mean, you might want to subscribe because next week we're going to be rolling. All right. We're not stopping. We got Bob McKenzie coming on and another guy that will keep a little secret. So you got to subscribe. You got to follow to keep up with us and figure out who our next guest will be. You won't want to miss it. It's going to be great. Trust me on that. Grant, any parting words?
No, I'm looking forward to the next two. We've got a great prospect, and I mean the Bob father doesn't get any better than that.
Bobby Margarita, legend in the scouting world. So I think everybody's going to be really excited about that, and we're going to get some really great insights about this year's draft class. So I'm pumped. I'm totally pumped for that. So thank you all for watching. As always, go check out recruits.ca. Right, Grant mentioned that all our videos are going to be on there now. Right, Rocco's extended riser of the week. So you want to check that out, and lots of great content, prospect wise, Habs wise. It's all on there.
It's $1.99 a month for prospect coverage, and we're going to have a ton. I've been interviewing NHL scouts, and I got a pile of notes that I'm going to put up there, scouts quotes over the next couple of weeks too. And we're also going to we're going to update our rankings thoroughly and have a midterm out before Bob, so it doesn't look like we're copying Bob's list. So
it's probably going to be similar though, because great minds think alike, right? Great minds think alike.
Well, we talk to NHL scouts, right? We get a good, I listen to them just like Bob does. They're the guys that are in the rinks every night, and getting paid the big bucks. So you tend to listen to their opinions and help it in molding our list.
Exactly. Yeah. Fantastic stuff. So thank you all for watching, and we will see you next week.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast, Recruits Draftcast on YouTube, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.